Okay, so you guys have seen the headlines, right? Meghan Markle left stunned after Tom Bower exposes this. It's everywhere. But what is the this that left her stunned? Well, buckle up because what Tom Bower has uncovered isn't just some little rumor or tabloid gossip. This isn't about whispers and palace corridors. This is a full-blown forensic takedown of an entire public persona, and it's pretty wild. First off, let's talk about Tom Bower for a second. This isn't your average royal watcher or some random blogger. This guy is a serious biographer. He's the kind of writer world leaders actually fear because when he digs into someone, he doesn't mess around. We're talking decades of archives, cross-check sources, signed affidavit, documents, witnesses, timelines, the whole 9 yards. His words aren't based on sources close to the palace or anonymous tips. They're based on evidence that would hold up in a courtroom. And that's why even with all their threats and lawsuits flying around, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have never once dared to sue him. You got to ask yourself why, right? Because they know he's got the receipts. For years, the world was fed this perfect fairy tale about Meghan. She was the modern Diana, right? Compassionate, silenced, misunderstood. This underdog who defied the odds, found love with a prince, and was going to challenge the ancient institution from within. It was the perfect 21st century story. Modern, diverse, defiant. But Bower's latest revelations, they just ripped through that whole narrative like a spotlight through smoke. What he's uncovered isn't some tragic accident. It's a calculated strategy. And suddenly, every move, every tear, every headline we've seen from her just looks rehearsed. Bower picked his subjects carefully. He goes for people whose lives are shrouded in mystery. People who've climbed that greasy pole. As he puts it, they want to be famous, influential, powerful. And Meghan Markle, according to Bower, wants to be a billionaire. Harry, bless his heart, isn't going to make her one. So who will? Well, the implication is a new man. He suggests that if the opportunity comes along, it might just happen. And that's why he says she's constantly meeting new billionaires. It's not just about love. It's about a trajectory. Think about it. She called her relationship with Harry a love story. Tom Bower, he calls it a performance. Because behind all the speeches on kindness and authenticity, he says there's an actress who rehearsed sincerity better than anyone in Hollywood until the script collapsed. That is, she built this empire supposedly on fighting for truth, but it's full of contradictions. She preached equality, then supposedly trademarked her royal child's nickname, Lilith, before the Queen even knew. She sold this idea of independent womanhood, but she was living off the very crown she constantly condemned. She weaponized victimhood. And now, finally, the receipts are public. This isn't just about rumors or what some tabloid printed. We're talking about documents, witnesses, and timelines that frankly don't lie even when she does. This isn't a fall from grace. It's the end of an illusion. And once you see how deep Tom Bower's evidence cuts, you start to understand why Meghan Markle's carefully crafted empire isn't collapsing by accident. It's burning from the inside out. Remember that ridiculous story about how Harry and Meghan first met? The whole single girl, full career, not interested, just happened to meet a prince narrative. Bower says that whole thing was a tissue of inaccuracies. To be music polite, he claims she'd been coming to London since 2013, actively hunting for a man to marry. She wanted an Englishman. He says she wanted wealth. She wanted fame. And there's no doubt she targeted Harry. That's a pretty stark contrast to the fairy tale we were told, isn't it? So, while the world was busy believing in a modern love story, Bower was meticulously connecting the dots. He saw the pattern. A woman reinventing herself every time the truth started to catch up. And it all started with those initial cracks. Those moments where the carefully constructed legend just didn't quite line up with the facts. The trademarking of Leet, for example. The world was told it was a misunderstanding, but the evidence suggested it was a transaction. And for Bower, that was the first real trace of the blueprint. Emotion first, evidence later. And that was only the beginning. It's clear that this isn't just about a misunderstood duchess anymore. It's starting to sound like the blueprint for a calculated takeover. And until now, no one could really prove it. But this time, The evidence is speaking louder than any of her interviews ever did. The deeper Tom Bauer dug, the less her timeline made any sense. Seriously, dates shifted, stories changed, and this woman who constantly called herself a self-made survivor started looking a lot more like a self-written myth. Remember that whole tale about her being a struggling latchkey kid? Yeah, that just dissolves when you look at the receipts. Private schools, ballet lessons, brand new cars, tuition fully paid by her dad, the very father she later just completely erased from her narrative. The same guy who filmed her smiling in luxury, who supported her, is suddenly portrayed as this abuser in her script of selective memory. It's wild. Even her big activism story, that famous letter she supposedly wrote about a soap commercial when she was a kid, guess what? There's no trace of it in any corporate records. The letter never actually existed except in her own retelling. It's like she just made it up. But it was the Oprah interview that really turned suspicion into undeniable proof for Bauer. He literally cross-referenced every single claim she made line by line against official documents and palace logs. And he found 17 contradictions. 17. Like the alleged secret marriage, which, by the way, would have been impossible under Church of England law, or her claim that her son Archie was denied a royal title because of his skin color when royal peerage rules had been saying otherwise for centuries. It just didn't add up. And when she got called out on the evidence, she didn't correct anything. She just pivoted. Music, every falsehood becoming a new performance. Every exposure, a new emotional trauma. It was a masterclass in deflection. The facade wasn't just cracking on camera either. Behind closed doors, it was apparently crumbling. During the Australia tour, the one that made her this global sensation, staff described shouting matches, tea being thrown, and aides ending up in tears. What the cameras filmed as this triumphant royal tour, insiders remember as utter chaos. It wasn't just royal protocol she was fighting. It was any hierarchy that refused to revolve entirely around her. Each contradiction just built on the next, like dominoes falling in slow motion. The truth wasn't buried. It was just ignored because, let's be real, the illusion sold a whole lot better. Bauer wasn't interested in illusions, though. He was collecting evidence, and what he uncovered next exposed something way colder than just ambition. It revealed a full-blown strategy. Every single scandal, every little misstep leaves fingerprints. And when Bauer laid them all out side by side, a really disturbing pattern emerged. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't coincidence. It was choreography. You hear people saying, we're being brainwashed by these Hollywood types who think this is how you make money. And in the end, they just destroy our monarchy to make their fortune. And when you look at Meghan's situation now, it's like she's got no real income anymore. She's finished, right? The Netflix series is over. There's no big podcasts. They just aren't generating any money. So what's her next move? It seems like a major problem. Every lie she told, every contradiction she put out there, it all served a purpose. It protected the same goal, control. The childhood fairy tale, the royal martyrdom, the feminist crusade, all of it was designed to manufacture sympathy while she monetized outrage. This wasn't spontaneous. It was branding dressed up as morality. By the time the Netflix cameras were rolling, that whole machinery was fully operational. That truth-telling series. It had already been edited while Meghan was literally walking beside the royal family at the Queen's funeral, smiling for unity as she was weaponizing grief for global streaming. The footage was ready. The betrayal was scheduled, and her ventures since then tell the rest of the story. Spotify canceled. Archewell is basically reduced to statements nobody reads. Hollywood, which was once so dazzled by her name, now treats her like a risk, not royalty. The same studio she used to court won't even return her calls. Because in an industry that worships reinvention, Meghan's brand has definitely crossed the line between evolution and just pure manipulation. Even her supposed relaunch, American Riviera Orchard, it just reeks of desperation. Critics are pointing out copied concepts, recycled slogans, and honestly, a sense of entitlement that's way stronger than any perfume she could ever sell. The woman who promised to empower others can't even convince investors that she believes her own message. Bauer's conclusion is pretty brutal in its simplicity. There's no conspiracy against Meghan Markle. There are only the consequences of her own fabrications. The walls didn't close in because of palace prejudice or some media bias. They closed in because the performance finally ended and the audience, well, they finally saw the lights come up. So, was it all just a coincidence? Or was it a calculated move from the very beginning? Maybe she never really lied by accident. Maybe the whole illusion was the actual plan. Because when Tom Bauer traced the final thread of this whole story, it didn't just lead to money or marriage. It led to a full-blown obsession. Think about it. Every single decision Meghan made after joining the monarchy seemed to mirror someone who came before her, Diana. But here's the kicker. Where Diana's pain was, really genuine, Meghan's just became this performance, a script rehearsed in slow motion. If you look at side-by-side photos, it's wild. Identical poses, matching outfits, those exact same glances at the camera. That's not a coincidence, guys. That's choreography. Public tears, head tilts, even quotes recycled straight from Diana's interviews. The woman who claimed to feel haunted by the past was actually busy rest-staging it scene by scene for her own documentary close-ups. According to Bauer, Meghan didn't just want to honor Diana. She wanted to become her. She wanted the same pity, the same press, that whole tragic glow. Only this time, she wanted the cameras to be under her control. Insiders even say she reached out to Earl Spencer, Diana's own brother, with this really chilling request, permission to use the Spencer surname for future branding. And guess what? He refused instantly. Because some legacies, you just can't buy them. And others, well, they definitely shouldn't be imitated. The result was a public that was caught between this weird sense of déjà vu and just outright disbelief. Watching a woman repackage one of Britain's most painful histories into frankly clickbait sympathy. And then when the illusion started to crash, she just accused the audience of betrayal. That's the paradox Tom Bauer exposes. Meghan Markle didn't lose her reputation by accident. She totally overproduced it. Every single gesture became an echo. Every story a borrowed tragedy. In trying to relive Diana's legend, she actually killed her own. Now the world sees the reflection for what it really is. Not a princess reborn, but an actress trapped in her own mirror. And once you realize that the mirror was the plan all along, the performance stops feeling like a tragedy and starts looking a lot more like theft. For years, Meghan's favorite word was compassion. She wore it like a crown, right? Polished it for interviews, engraved it on charity slogans. But behind all that soft language, Tom Bauer's findings reveal something way colder. Compassion not as a real virtue, but as a disguise. Emails from former staff paint this picture so clearly. Endless speeches about kindness followed by tirades that left aides and tears. Those who actually tried to help her were quietly erased. Those who dared to challenge her were branded toxic, racist, or unstable. And when accountability finally came knocking, she just turned every single fallout into a feminist statement. Even her own family wasn't spared this performance. Her father, who was once paraded as this symbol of love and sacrifice, became disposable the moment he stopped following the script. Her half-siblings silenced. Her in-laws weaponized. Every single connection was just a storyline until it stopped serving the brand. The hypocrisy honestly ran even deeper during the most sacred moments of royal grief. As the world was mourning the Queen, Meghan was out there smiling through the crowds. Cameras capturing this supposed unity. Meanwhile, editors back in California were finalizing her Netflix attacks against the very same family she was pretending to honor. Grief was currency, and she spent it publicly. Bauer describes it best. The mask never slipped. It was simply replaced. The humanitarian turned victim. The victim turned mogul. The mogul turned preacher of empathy. Each transformation was designed to clean up the last disaster while, cashing in on it. In the end, her kindness looks rehearsed. Her compassion feels totally manufactured. And her moral outrage sounds like dialogue straight out of press kit. Because when you monetize mercy and trademark trauma, the brand might survive, but the soul doesn't. And for Meghan Markle, Every new act of compassion just reminds the audience that the performance never really ended. It just lost its applause. So, was it all just some big misunderstanding? A woman just crushed by the monarchy, totally misunderstood by the press, betrayed by everyone except herself. Maybe. But here's the thing. The evidence doesn't just whisper maybe. It screams pattern. Every timeline we look at, every headline, every single contradiction points to the exact same truth. Meghan Markle didn't just stumble into all this controversy. Oh no, she manufactured it. She marketed it, and then she sold it to the world wrapped up in sympathy and sparkle. Tom Bower, he didn't destroy her image. He just turned on a light. And when that spotlight finally shifted, that carefully painted scenery she had put up, it started to peel away, revealing not some helpless victim, but a master architect. Section 23, so, the real question isn't even if her story collapsed, it's whether she ever even believed it herself. Because behind all those camera smiles, all those charity slogans, and all the endless rebranding, one truth just keeps echoing. What she called authenticity was always strategy. And if you think this was the final act, you've got another thing coming. This isn't the end. What happens next actually takes that whole illusion and just burns it down on a much bigger stage. Remember when products tied to her lifestyle empire started coming back faster than they could even ship them out? Yeah. Music, mass returns, this super quiet embarrassment, a whole brand just imploding in real time. It was wild to watch. That was the unraveling. The very moment Meghan Markle's carefully constructed glamour. And let's be real, the timing was poetic. Just as it began to crack, the reactions were telling. Investors backed away slowly. Partners distanced themselves. Even loyal fans started asking questions. The brand that was once untouchable suddenly felt toxic. And it wasn't just the business side. Socially, the fall was even more dramatic. People who once defended her to the death now whispered doubts. The same voices that amplified every word she said now hit the mute button. It was like watching a carefully crafted avatar disintegrate in real time. No drama, no tantrums, just a quiet collapse. Meghan was positioning herself as this global icon of empowerment. The Real story broke wide open. Not some palace conspiracy, not a misunderstood artist, but a calculated business strategy gone wrong. The irony wasn't lost on anyone paying attention. She built a brand on being authentic while cashing in on manufactured outrage. And when the receipts came due, she didn't have the capital to cover them. Her biggest critics didn't even need to attack. The backlash was organic. People just stopped buying what she was selling. Now, the world is left wondering what comes next. Will she pivot again? Try to rewrite the script one more time? The problem is, the script's credibility is gone. The ink's dried up. Her team is reportedly scrambling to salvage whatever they can, but damage control has turned into damage containment. Meanwhile, the royal family is moving on. Quietly, efficiently, they're closing ranks. The message is clear. This isn't about vendetta. It's about survival. Section 27. Once said he wanted to break the cycle. What he and for Prince Harry, the reckoning is personal. He didn't realize was that he was part of the cycle. Now he's trying to find his way out, but the exit isn't straightforward. The institution he left is still his family. The woman he chose is now a liability. His future hangs on whether he can separate the myth from the reality. It's a gamble, and he's running out of chips. Either way, one thing's certain. The performance is over. The curtain's coming down. As for Tom Bower, he's just getting started. Insiders say he's already working on his next expose. Not about the royals this time, but about power itself. How it's wielded, how it's lost, and who gets crushed in the process. The man knows a thing or two about stories that need telling. And if the past is any indication, he'd better buckle up. The next chapter promises to be even wilder than the last. For now, though, the spotlight stays fixed on one undeniable truth. When the music stops, you can't fake the dance. The dance is over, and the room is silent. No one knows what comes next, but one thing's clear. Nothing will ever be the same. The illusion of perfection, the charade of authenticity, it's all gone. What's left is raw, unfiltered and brutally honest. The royal family, once a symbol of stability, is now a hot mess. And at the center of it all is Meghan Markle, the woman who tried to rewrite the rules. But the rules didn't change. She did, and now she's paying the price. Her brand is toxic, her relationships are strained, and her future is uncertain. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when ambition overrides authenticity. When the pursuit of power and fame becomes more important than integrity and honesty. The world is watching, and they're not impressed. Section 31. As the dust settles, one thing becomes clear. Meghan Markle's reign is over. The question is, what's next? Will she try to revive her brand? Or will she fade into obscurity? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, she's no longer the golden girl she once was. The shine has worn off, and the cracks are showing. The royal family, on the other hand, is moving on. They're closing ranks, protecting their own, and rebuilding their reputation. It's a slow process, but they're determined to restore the monarchy's former glory. And as for Prince Harry, he's caught in the middle, trying to navigate his own path while dealing with the fallout of his wife's actions. It's a messy situation, but one thing's certain: the truth will come out. And when it does, the world will be watching. The drama, the scandal, the intrigue, it's all just beginning. So buckle up, folks, it's going to be a wild ride. The curtain's still rising on this royal soap opera, and no one's quite sure how it will end. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be epic. The stakes are high, the players are ruthless, and the drama is palpable. It's a Game of Thrones, royal style. And in the end, only one thing will remain: the truth. The rest is just speculation, and the world is eager to see what happens next. The story's far from over, folks. The plot is thickening, and the twists are getting wilder. Stay tuned, because this is one show you don't want to miss. The royal family, Meghan Markle, and the truth, it's all still to come. And when it does, the world will be watching. The media frenzy shows no signs of dying down. Every move Meghan Markle makes is scrutinized, every statement is dissected, and every appearance is analyzed. The public's fascination with the royal family is at an all-time high, and the press is capitalizing on it. Meanwhile, Meghan's team is trying to control the narrative, but it's a losing battle. The truth is out, and it's not pretty to as the scandal continues to unfold. More revelations are coming to light. Sources close to the royal family are speaking out, and they're not holding back. The dirty laundry is being aired in public, and it's a mess. Prince Harry's reputation is taking a hit, and his relationship with his family is strained. It's a royal crisis, and no one knows how it will end. The British press is having a field day, publishing exposés and scandals by the day. The royal family is trying to stay above the fray, but it's getting harder by the minute. The Queen is reportedly furious. Prince Charles is disappointed, and Prince William is angry. The palace is in crisis mode, and they're not sure how to contain the damage. Meghan Markle's team is trying to spin the narrative, but it's not working. The public is seeing through the PR, and they're not buying it. The backlash is intense, and it's affecting her brand and business ventures. People are canceling subscriptions, boycotting products, and speaking out against her. It's a full-blown crisis, and she's running out of options. As the drama continues to unfold, one thing is clear. Meghan Markle's career is on life support. Her reputation is in tatters, her relationships are strained, and her future is uncertain. The world is watching, and they're not impressed. The question is, what's next? Will she try to revive her career, or will she fade into obscurity? Only time will tell.